All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the hackathon. So here's a quick overview of today. So up until around 12:15, I'm just going to give you a quick introduction, a brief overview on the topic. And then from around 12:15 to 2, you guys are going to be working. And then right now I have the submission at 2 p.m., but if people need more time, we'll extend it to 2:30. And then you'll get the results at 8 tomorrow. So there's going to be 3 challenges today. Challenge 1 is just understanding classification, and this will be all theory-based, challenge 1. So there's not going to be any code. And challenge 2, there's going to be code, but it will be guided. And challenge 3 is going to be a bit more difficult. So challenges 1 and 2 are accompanied by multiple questions, and challenge 3 is pretty much one big question with 2 bonuses. And coding is going to be required for a decent amount of these questions. And the bonus questions are optional if you're in middle school. However, if you're in high school, it's pretty much recommended. All right, so welcome to this hackathon. I'm not going to talk about the challenges again, but don't worry if you don't know what classification is yet, because the next section will be an introduction. And the goal of this hackathon is to learn and test your abilities. And since one of the most fundamental parts of machine learning is the theory behind models, if you understand that, the coding becomes easier. That's why this hackathon focuses basically on the theory. And then there's also going to be more applications near challenges 2 and 3. So there's going to be a decent amount of fun up ahead. And because a lot of this hackathon requires coding, and I'm not really teaching you much coding, you can use the internet. However, you can't use any AI like GPT. I've given you a lot of resources you can use for the questions, so you pretty much shouldn't even need GPT. And if we detect any AI, we're just not going to score that question. So here's a brief overview of classification. So classification is a fundamental concept in data science and machine learning, where the goal is to pretty much categorize things into classes or groups. So it's similar to how our brain predicts outcomes based on old scenarios. Classification models aim to predict the category of new observations based on previous data. And for example, consider how we identify things around us. So we look at the visual cues and then we classify objects like a water bottle or like a cat, dog, car in this example. So similar in machine learning, we train models to classify data points into predefined categories based on their features. And then this can be used in a bunch of fields. So for example, it can be used for medical diagnoses, like predicting if a patient has a certain disease based on their records, or even sentiment analysis, which was last week, I'm pretty sure. And it can determine whether a movie review is positive or negative. And then also for image recognition. So like it'll tell you what the image actually is. So now I'm going to go over the rules for today. So number 1 is make sure you have a Google Colab or like some type of coding software that runs Python. And then number 2, please make sure you have a working camera. If your camera is on, we're going to give you 2 bonus points at the end. So please try to have it on just to like make sure that you know you're here working. And then number 3 is if you have a question, don't unmute because it's going to distract everyone else. Just send me a private message and I'll respond as fast as possible. So try your best not to unmute. And then number 4 is, again, no using any AI that can help you solve the questions. And again, we've provided a bunch of resources that will help you. And number 5 is please submit all work on time. I'll tell you around 1 or like 1:30 if we're extending to 2:30. But for now, the due date is at 2. If you submit past 2, there's going to be a 5-point deduction. And then 6, this is a new rule, but previous winners are not eligible for a prize. Instead, they'll get their points tallied up for a grand prize at the end in October. So yeah, and then number 7 is just to remember to have fun and learn. So now I'll just give you a quick overview of the questions, and then I'll send the form out, and you guys can begin. So question 1 is just going to be to explain what classification is. Question 2 is to give 2 examples. And then here you're going to use this data to solve questions 3, 4, and then 5. You can do that yourself. And then challenge 2 is going to be actual code, right? So I've provided a bunch of resources right here. And this number corresponds to the question. So number 1 corresponds to question 1 and so on. And then here's a data set you're going to use. You should be able to copy and paste this. But if you can't, here's how it's going to look like after you type it up. So then here are the import statements you're going to need to use. And again, I've provided all the resources up here. So you don't really need to do that much looking up. And then here are the questions. So load the data set into a data frame, split it, vectorize it, train a classifier, make predictions, and then make the accuracy of it. And then the bonus is to just improve the accuracy. So whatever the number is up here, the bonus should be just kind of raising it, and then paste the entire code after you updated it for the bonus right there. And then challenge 3 is this is going to be less of a walkthrough. You're going to kind of have to do most of it by yourself. But the challenge is to build a classifier to determine the category of news articles based on their text. And then here is like the different types of newses. And then here are like the 3 other links you can use to help you. And here is the data set. And then if you can't type it, or if you can't copy and paste it, you can type it. And then here you paste the code. And then here are the 2 bonus questions. So again, don't use AI. If we detect AI, you're just not going to get credit for the point. And we provided a lot of resources, so you probably shouldn't even need AI in the first place.